The only problem with this is that you see the kind of 12 to 13 trillion dollars of national debt, but that actually doesn't even come close to the some 70 to 100 trillion dollars of unfunded liabilities. The only possible way that the government would take care of that debt would be either to default, which I don't think they would ever do, or to print out of their way out of it. I think they think they're going to get away with that printing, but sad to say, the laws of gravity, the laws of physics, and the laws of the economics, they apply to the United States just as they apply to anyone else. And so, basically, what I think if you begin with an insight like that, you're able to understand the degree to which there is going to be a great monetary fiscal funding crisis in the United States' future. And lots of libertarians have imagined what it would be like if the state were to collapse. If we can just imagine this together, if the United States were unable to fund its imperial army, it was unable to keep the Union together, what would happen? Many might imagine a kind of individualist order that would arise. But if we really think about this realistically, if this situation occurred, where there was a serious monetary crisis, we would not break down to a kind of Cato Institute fantasy of individualist capitalists selling things to one another, and there would be we're totally interchangeable. We would actually experience whole new advancements in social intolerance. If the army were not able to be funded, they were not able to preserve order, you might very well have Latino nationalist communities kind of almost arising in California and the Southwest. You might have various things arising in the inner cities that were again race-based in terms of blacks. You might Gary North might actually be able to establish a Christian Reconstructionist Protestant state somewhere in the Midwest that would make Calvin's Geneva seem like Cancun. You would have these, basically with the collapse of the state, you would not have a kind of regression to this individualist, libertarian kind of fantasy. You would actually have whole new forms of authority and identity that would arise out of that chaos, and that in many ways these will be based on identity and ethnicity. They might be based on race. They will be based on religion. So basically, the way I would end with that is that so many conservatives have always wanted to kind of turn back the clock. In Rothbard, in his speech in 1992, he spoke about how some people want to repeal the Great Society. Others really want to repeal the New Deal. Others want to repeal Lincoln's administration. Some of us want to go back to the Constitution. Murray Rothbard wants to push further and go to the Articles of Confederation. There's also this tendency to always kind of want to keep turning back the clock. And I think in some ways with the alternative right, if you take this insight of the coming monetary crisis in the United States, you see that it's really not a question of turning back the clock, but it really is that possibility of imagining something very new, something new in the future. And so while Murray promised that he didn't want to just turn back the clock of social democracy, he wanted to break it, I think the alternative right might be in a situation where we will no longer be bound by that clock of the 20th century, and we'll have something completely new. So I'll leave it on that. And thank you for inviting me.